These scenes take us back to a time when thousands of children were wrapped in metal braces and fought for their lives in iron lungs. Polio was as close as the kid next door. At its peak in 1952 through 1954, polio struck 132,000 people. Half of them were paralyzed. Nearly 6,000 were killed. Most were children. But this was a medical story with a happy ending. 25 years ago this summer, a vaccine was given to millions of children that would all but wipe out the disease in a few short years. The next generation would be spared.
Medicine went in search of other miracles. Iron lungs were shoved into storerooms, and polio clinics soon closed. Polio was behind us. But what of the hundreds of thousands of youngsters for whom the vaccine came too late? Those who have carried crutches and braces for nearly 30 years. Well, after much therapy and great determination, most were able to live near normal lives. But today, some of them are getting worse.
Carol Melvin of Cold Grove, Ohio, got polio in 1947 when she was 9 years old. It left her paralyzed. But she taught herself to work and walk and live a full life. Then, 3 years ago, her strength began to disappear. Doctors told her it was a vicious after effect of her former polio. Today, at age 42, Carol Melvin has had to return to the braces and the wheelchair she left behind.
I really didn't think much about it until my hands started to become affected. And they were aching so that I would run hot water, and then I'd try cold water, anything, to drive a car to hold on to the steering wheel. My hands were so sore, and they ached so I couldn't hardly stand it. I was more upset because I kept feeling that it had to be in my mind. Because I thought when you once have polio, whatever effect it left you with, that's the way you would remain.
But Carol's doctor says Carol's problem is not uncommon. It strikes some former polio patients as they reach middle age.
Of the ones we have seen, it's running around, say, 50% of those over 40. But, again, those who are not having problems are not coming to us, so we don't know how to relate that to the total overall polio population.
Well, I would imagine there's also a great number of patients that don't even know there is a problem.
Well, maybe it's just as well that they don't know too much about it because they'll be too concerned about something that they may never have to face anyway.
Many former patients do not have problems, and those who do are not all as seriously affected as Carol. But officials at Warm Springs Hospital in Georgia, one of the last and the best known of the old polio clinics, are concerned because more than 250,000 former patients are approaching an age when this may be a problem. Dr. E.B. Dunlap, the Warm Springs Chief of Staff, admits not much has been learned since polio was conquered.
Well, I think it's reasonable that research would have ended, and we didn't anticipate certainly this latent effect of the polio victim.
And yet, do we know how many might be affected?
No, I think there's no way of...
And we don't know how severely those who are affected will be affected.
Well, I think that they who have had it will realize and be alert to any alteration of muscle function.
I kept thinking it just had to be that, in my head, that I was tiring like that because it would be so unbelievable how I could get so tired.
When you had polio, doctors told you to try to swim, to walk, and you would get better.
I'd always been told I could do anything. Climbing stairs, just anything that I was able to do. Bridge.
Patients were told to exercise, but not to the point of fatigue.
That's nice.
Doctors say that may have triggered Carol's new condition, and they don't know how to stop it.
I won't give you that much.
It is not a new form of polio.
Okay, pull your...
Researchers have known about the problem for years, but it was often misdiagnosed and thought to be part of another more serious illness.
Come on, gal. Come on.
Those who show such symptoms are usually much older than Carol Melvin,
Easy, easy.
but some, like Carol's old roommate, Dottie Day, are starting to have problems in the prime of life.
Okay, play ball.
She is Dottie Webb now, married with 2 children. A few months ago, while playing catch with her kids, she noticed a shortness of breath and a pain that would not go away. Doctors told her she would have to slow down.
Oh, I can't get that.
At age 37.
It's a pain in my muscles that feel like they are actually being ripped. I mean, like they're being torn. It's not spasms, it's not cramps that you can stand up, at night and the cramp will go away. It's constant, it's continuous.
It's kind of scary when something like this intrudes on your dream.
Especially when, when I think of my children. I want to see them grow up. I want to be able to take care of them. I want to be the one that plays ball with them, and I want to be the one that takes them, swimming and things like that. I don't want to have to sit here and let someone else do that.